Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good night. If you're new here, I've taken on a kind of experiment to see how much you can actually change your life in 6 months if you try your absolute hardest. If you want to watch the other episodes, you can watch them all right here, but you don't need to watch them all to watch this video. I'll catch you up. So we're trying to improve our life in these 8 categories, and right now we're a little past the halfway point, so like 3.5-ish months in. But I've realized up to this point, we've been adjusting our methods, our habits, things that we're focusing on, but we've been following the same overall strategy, which is to do everything all at the same time as much as you can in every single category and doing the maximum amount of things at all times. While this was good for the beginning when we were figuring things out, over time it kind of means that every single goal has the same level of importance. So it means that my career goals are on the same level as my hobbies, which doesn't really make sense. So for this episode, I want to change things up a little bit. We're gonna pick the top 3 categories that are the most important to me and really hone in and focus on those, and then adjust the importance of all the other ones. Here are all of our categories. My top 3 that I find the most important, I really want to work on, are my physical health, my career, and my finances. I feel like if those 3 things are really solid, everything else will fall into place, you know? So those are the 3 categories we're going to focus on for this video, starting with physical health.
Oh my god, you are so right. I did not always look like this. I looked like this a couple of years ago.
So something weird has been happening. I feel like since TikTok got banned for 12 hours, I kind of started to feel like I'm in a toxic relationship with it and I'm scared that it's gonna leave if I don't use it. And so I've been scrolling a lot more. As I've been scrolling and scrolling, I've noticed something a little concerning. TikTok is starting to feel a little bit like Tumblr in the 2010s when everybody was obsessed with body checking and giving each other eating disorders. So instead of being able to focus on the body goals I've set for myself, I noticed myself starting to want to look more and more like the bodies that TikTok is feeding me and wanting to look skinnier and skinnier to the point where I don't even think I would look good at the weight those girls are at. I think I would just look sickly, and looking at these girls doesn't really give me motivation. It doesn't make me want to get up and run and go to the gym. It just makes me really sad. It makes me want to curl up in a ball and then eat all the snacks that are in my pantry. And then I feel worse about myself, and then it turns into a cycle. So step 1 of refocusing on my physical health is to get up and get the fuck off of my phone. Now that I've gotten rid of the external factors, we can focus on what I actually want to do. My physical health goals are to lose 40 pounds, increase my flexibility and mobility, and to give myself my dream body. Not the dream body that TikTok is pushing to me, but my dream body that I have in my head. So I've been doing a lot of at-home workouts, usually the same at-home workouts, and I'm kind of getting bored. There's nothing really exciting or new about it, and I'm kind of just staring at the same 4 walls that I'm always staring at, and it makes it a little harder to motivate myself to actually work out. So what we need is a new workout routine in a new location, aka we need to find a gym. So I was also looking for a part-time job at a gym so that I could kind of do 2 in 1 and like work on my finances and also get motivated to be in the gym since I'm already working there. And I had one of you guys reach out to me. Shout out to Vivian if you're watching. She basically said she worked at a gym and that there were some positions open that I should apply for. And so I started working on that. But while I'm waiting to hear back, just in case, you know, we never know which way it's gonna go. In the meantime, I want to look into other gyms to see what membership I would get if this job doesn't work out. We're gonna tour a few gyms in the area, and then we're also gonna try ClassPass, which I've used before, but I haven't used in New York yet. Today we're gonna go to our first gym, which is Lifetime Fitness. So I took a little visit to Lifetime Fitness, and I couldn't really record much because I don't know, it felt weird. Lifetime's one of those like luxury gyms. It's almost like Equinox, if you've ever heard of Equinox. And they have a lot of amenities. They have like a spa, massage area, pool, jacuzzi, sauna, all the really nice stuff that places like Equinox have. They also have like a co-working space. Very, very nice gym. Very, very nice gym. That's $300 a month. So yeah, I just don't know if it makes logical sense to put that much towards a gym every month. They do have a lot of classes and stuff like that. So if you take a lot of classes, it probably does cost less to have a membership at a place that offers all of those classes than paying for those classes each individually. But there is also ClassPass. So I don't know. $300 a month is really steep for a gym, and I'm not paying that. It wasn't really an option from that point on, but I walked around anyway. I took a look. It's a really nice gym. They also say they have a location in California, and I was like, oh, that's cool because that's where I usually am. But the location in California is $1,000 a month for a gym. If you have the money for it, do what you do. A lot of gyms, including Equinox, offer a 1-day trial where you can like take a tour and then you can try out the gym for a day to see if you like it. Lifetime does not do that. I didn't realize that. So I didn't even get to try the gym. So today we're gonna be trying one of New York's more budget-friendly options, Blink Fitness. There's a ton of them. I feel like based on what I've read, it seems similar to LA Fitness, which was the gym membership I had when I was in LA. So there's a ton of them around and we're just gonna go find one and let's go check it out. Y'all, I did not like that gym. The vibes were so odd. I feel like the moment you go into a gym and you see enough tripods that you feel comfortable filming, not good. So I just got back from the gym, from Blink Fitness, and the vibes were so odd. It was so weird. I went in, I asked them for a tour. They said, yeah. I was like, oh, am I allowed to like test it out and work out? They said, yeah, totally fine. So we did the tour. The tour was like maybe 5 minutes, if that. It's a more budget gym, so they don't have as like many amenities as like Lifetime or Equinox, which makes sense because you're not paying that crazy premium for those amenities. He showed me the first floor. It was like fine. Then we went to the second floor. I don't know if it was like all the weird people go to the second floor, but the second floor was very like man heavy, and not in like a, oh, there was a lot of men way, and like everyone's grunting, like people had tripods out and they were like filming themselves. Like I feel like if I go into a gym and I see more than one tripod, it's time to leave. I didn't feel welcome. I wasn't the only woman there, but it felt like I was the only woman there, you know? So that was odd. And then I was like, okay, whatever. He's like, okay, like go ahead, work out. Like we'll talk about membership options after if you're interested. I said, okay, cool. So I worked out on the treadmill. That was fine. All of the machines were a little dirty, and not like dirty in the way that people just like used it for the day, but in a way where you could tell they hadn't been deep cleaned in a while. And then when I went upstairs, I went on the Stairmaster and I was like walking, and then I started hearing something out of the side of my headphones. I did a little move, a little shift to try and hear what was going on. And the guy next to me is walking on the treadmill and rapping so loudly. I don't know if it was like he was rapping to the song that was playing on the speakers or his own music or what, but it was to the point where even the other guys were looking at him like, bro, shut up. So that told me all I needed to know, and I will not be back at that gym. I assume that this isn't representative of all Blink Fitnesses. I'm assuming it's just the one that I went to, but it was odd. The vibes were weird. I didn't like it. So probably won't be doing that one, but also Lifetime's too expensive. So we have to try and figure out it in between. So the next thing we're gonna try is ClassPass. I've tried ClassPass before in LA. It's basically a subscription service where you pay a flat fee every single month and you get a certain amount of credits, and then you can use those credits to take workout classes in different studios. I have 2 Pilates classes booked. I think I have a solid core class booked. I haven't done any ClassPass classes in New York yet, but hopefully they're good. Hopefully it's better than Blink. On the ClassPass. Alrighty, so we are back from Pilates. It was hard. I haven't done a real Pilates class since I was in LA, so probably like 3 to 4 months now, and I could definitely tell. I realized I do really like the class setup of someone explaining what to do and knowing that it's gonna be effective because they know what they're doing and I'm not having to come up with the workouts myself. However, I do feel like classes don't offer a whole lot of flexibility. So pros, somebody else is controlling the workout, somebody else is coming up with it. I know it'll be effective. Also, when I sign up for a class, I'm a lot more likely to go because I have to pay a cancellation fee if I don't go. And so that gives me a little bit of motivation. Cons, it's not very flexible. I don't have the flexibility of just going to the gym. 2, I feel like a lot of ClassPass, like the good classes, get booked up really fast. So you have to constantly be checking to see if a class is open. And 3, ClassPass is expensive. Like the only membership where you get anything like more than a class a week is $90 a month. So I feel like it just makes more sense at that point to get a gym membership that comes with classes already. So that's what we're gonna do. That's the end point of this, is we're gonna go to a gym that has classes. Is it gonna be any of the gyms I mentioned? No, probably not, but we're gonna find one. So I will let you guys know how that goes. Now that I figured out where I'm gonna be working out, I need to figure out what I'm doing. Like I usually go to the gym, I do the treadmill, I do the Stairmaster, I do whatever machines look easiest, and then I do a cool down and I leave, and that's my workout. There's not really a plan. There's not really a thing to work for. Last episode, we started trying 75 hard, and that shit was hard. A lot of people were telling me that it was made by a man for men, by a very misogynistic man, and that there were better alternatives for women just because like our bodies work differently. The same thing isn't gonna work. And so one of my friends told me about this thing called Operation 66, which was made by a woman for women. One of the issues with 75 hard is it gives you a lot of results in those 75 days, but it's so intensive that those habits don't necessarily transfer out of the challenge. Operation 66 is made more to build habits that'll then continue on ideally forever. So there's some hard rules and then some soft rules. Hard rule, it's 66 days instead of 75 days because it takes 66 days for a habit to become automatic. The hard rules, meditate for 5 minutes a day, 60 minutes of movement, so that can be walking, that can be working out, that can be whatever, and 10 minutes of stretching every single day. Drinking 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning, and then spend 30 minutes on a personal goal daily. No screen time for the first and last hour of the day. I saw someone say that if you have to be on your phone in the first and last hour, no social media for the first and last hour at least. The soft rules that are more flexible are your diet. So the way I saw it described is that you're eating a 90-10 diet. So 90% of what you're eating is healthy and really like balanced and nutritious, and then 10% is like fun or whatever you want. Then limiting alcohol consumption or cutting it out entirely, only drinking on special occasions. I already only really drink socially maybe once a month, if that. Changing my drinking habits is not a real goal for me just because I don't really drink that often anyway. That's the overall plan we're gonna be following. Now we need to figure out when we're doing our 60 minutes of activity, what does that look like? What are we working out what days? What kind of workouts are we doing? And for that, we need to do a little bit more research. I did a little bit of research and did a little bit of figuring out what things I want, what I want to prioritize, like what I'm gonna do. And this is what I've come up with. Some of this is stuff we're already doing and some of this is new, more specific stuff, but I wanna do 10K steps every day and I wanna slowly work my way up to 20K steps a day, like doing a morning walk and a night walk. I wanna do like either yoga or some kind of stretch every day. Since I've been sleeping so bad, I wake up and my body's aching. And when I went to Pilates class, I realized I'm like half as flexible as I usually am. Then I wanna strength train 3 times a week. This could change, this could be increased later, but I wanna start off with 3 times a week. 75 hard was every day and I just felt like my body was getting no rest, and also I was like dreading working out and it just wasn't working. When I was looking it up, a lot of people said to just figure out the parts of your body that you are prioritizing most, do those things 2 times a week, and then do everything else once a week. The things I'm prioritizing, my abs and my core, I'm gonna do that 2 times a week. 2, I'm gonna prioritize chest and back workout. Then once a week, legs, glutes, arms, and shoulders. And then once a week, I might try and do Pilates or some other kind of fun workout if I'm feeling it. So that is our workout schedule, our workout routine that we're gonna follow for hopefully the rest of this challenge, unless it ends up being bad and then we have to change it, which we can, you know, trial and error, it's fine. But we're not done yet. While working out and going to the gym and being active is gonna really, really help with my weight loss goal, and it's gonna help just with my general overall health, they do say dream bodies are made in the kitchen. So we need a meal plan. So in the last 2-ish videos, I talked about how I've been using like a meal plan delivery grocery service to kind of get all my meals. But honestly, I've been getting a little bit bored, not gonna lie. The convenience is nice, but it's kind of the same ingredients remixed in different ways. And also it's kind of expensive for what it is, and I can't really get as much variety as I want, which might be due to me not eating meat, like just eating fish, so maybe there's not as many options. But I feel like I can have a bit more fun if I came up with my own meal ideas. So for this episode, we're gonna be coming up with a meal plan where I can keep in my calorie deficit, eat cleaner and lighter, and also have fun with the meals that I'm eating so I'm not so bored. I'm not a chef, and so I can't really come up with them myself, but what I like to do when I want to come up with some like fun meal ideas is I'll either look in my saved recipes on TikTok or I will look on Pinterest, which is what we're gonna be doing today. So we figured out what we're gonna be eating for this week, and now we just need to go get the supplies to make that happen. So let's go to the grocery store. Now that we've been eating healthier and we've been working out, I feel a lot healthier, which also means my brain feels a lot better, which means I can finally finally start being creative again. And since I can be creative again, do you know what that means I can focus on? My career. For those of you who don't know, I want to be a film director. It's not like the most unique thing in the world, but I feel special, okay? If you aren't familiar with like the film industry and how to break in and all those things, there are about 1,000 ways to get into almost every profession on a film set, especially a director. It's not one of those jobs where you go to school, you get a degree, you apply, and you get hired, and that's it. Like, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So, one of the million paths that you can take to become a director is by starting off with making short films. In an ideal world, you make a short film that's really, really good, it plays in festivals, it gets into Sundance, and then they're like, wow, you're so talented, and then you use that to then either fundraise for a feature film, or you use that to apply to a directing program, which can then get you the connections to make a feature film, and then that feature film does really well, and it goes to festivals, and it gets to Sundance, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're so talented, and the right person sees it at the right time, and they're like, oh my gosh, let me hire you to make a film for my company. And then boom, you're an amazing, successful, perfect director. So obviously, that path requires a lot of talent and a lot of luck, and even with a lot of talent and a lot of luck, it can just not work out, or you can get that far and be hired to make a feature film, and then it flops, and then no one ever hires you to make another feature film again. And to even get into some of these festivals, you're competing with hundreds of thousands of other people, a lot of them also very, very talented, but I think we can do it. I feel like part of pursuing a creative career is a little bit of delusion, and I feel like I have a lot of delusion, so we're good. We have nothing to worry about, but that does mean I need to make a short film. To do that, we have a few steps. One, we need to increase our knowledge of film generally. I went to film school, but I feel like it's a muscle that hasn't been worked in a while, and I need a little bit of a refresher on some things. Then we develop the short film idea, which includes figuring out the characters, writing the script, making outlines, doing pitch decks, lookbooks, all of those fun things. And then from there, you go to pre-production. Pre-production is like location scouting, finding your crew, finding your cast, fundraising a lot of times, and then all of that is just to get you prepped for production, which is just the actual filming days. And then from there, you go into post-production, which is editing, sound, music, score, VFX, all of those fun things. And then at the very end, you send it off to festivals and you hope and you pray that they like it, and at least a few of them will screen it and it will get you something. Obviously, we cannot do all of that in one episode. That's usually like a months to years long process. But for this episode, we're gonna be focusing on two of those steps: increasing knowledge and development. So the first step of this is to increase our general film knowledge. Obviously, I went to film school. I got a 4-year degree in this, but I feel like film school kind of teaches you a lot of the basics, gives you a good foundation, and then from there, you really need to put in effort to get to that next level. So that's what we're gonna be doing. To do this, I went back to the library, I read a ton of books, watched some educational YouTube videos, I studied other films, both short films online and feature films in the actual movie theater. And now that I feel like I've gotten a refresher on my very expensive film degree, we can get to the fun part. As I've been watching more movies and TV shows to increase my film knowledge, I realized that I can double dip and work on another goal at the same time: language learning. Now you might be wondering, how would you do that? How would that even work? And that is where this video sponsor comes in, Migaku. Migaku is a dynamic learning language platform with courses, a Chrome extension, an app, and so much more. With the Migaku browser extension, you can learn while watching shows on Netflix, Disney+, YouTube, and more. You can learn any word while watching a show by clicking on the subtitle, where you'll get the definition, pronunciation, examples, and you can make a flashcard of the word to refer to later. With learning statuses, you can also easily tell if the word is one that you already know, are currently learning, or is brand new to you. I'm not sure if I've shared this before, but one of the main reasons I've been trying to learn a language is because I travel a ton. This year, me and my boyfriend are planning a trip to China, and I want to make sure I know enough to get around. So I've started using Migaku to try to learn in a little bit of an easier way. Because Migaku tracks all of the words that you know, it can also give you a comprehension score for any piece of content you're consuming, so you can choose content that's within your comprehension level. You can also snap a photo of any text in the real world to get an instant translation, which is great for traveling. For me, I'm a total beginner at Chinese, so I don't know any words at all, which will make it really hard for me to start consuming content right off the bat. And that's why I've been using the introductory course that Migaku offers for beginners in any language. And I can do these courses on their mobile app, as well as watching YouTube through Migaku to mine words and create new flashcards without needing my computer at all, which makes it super easy to squeeze in a bit of learning while I'm commuting or waiting for my train. If you want to take your language learning to the next level, Migaku is offering a special promotion for you guys. You can start using Migaku for just $10 a month, or use my link in the description to get 50% off of a lifetime subscription, an additional month free on any of their standard or early access subscription plans, where you can get access to all of these languages. And thank you to Migaku for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now I'm fired up, my ideas are going, I'm ready to start writing. But what am I writing again? First things first, we need to come up with an idea. Luckily for me, I've been wanting to make films since 8th grade. So I have tons and tons of Notes app entries, of random files on my computer, Notion pages just full of ideas. And I just have to figure out which one's the best one. To do that, I need to answer a few questions. 1, what film is feasible for a budget that I can raise? So short films aren't cheap. They do cost a lot of money, but there's a big difference between a $30,000 short film and a $100,000 short film. And there's kind of a limit to how much you can fundraise. So I want to figure out what kind of range I think is realistic for me to raise, and then what ideas can actually fit within that budget constraint. 2, I need to figure out if I want this to be a standalone short film or a proof of concept for a feature film. For those of you who don't know, proof of concepts are basically short films that show a scene or a little teaser or just like bits and pieces of a film that could eventually be a feature film or a series or whatever. And it's basically visual proof of what that film or series will look like. And if the short film does well, it's supposed to be like proof that the feature or the series could do well. Essentially, there's a lot more to it, but that's a very quick understanding. And then number 3, will people be interested in this concept a year from now when the film is probably actually done? As much as something might be the talk of the town now and people might be really interested, a film takes a while to make, and if people are really interested now and I make the film, but then next year they don't care about it, it doesn't really work. Is it a concept that's not just like trendy or because people are talking about it, or is it a concept that actually has longevity and people will be interested in no matter when they watch it? So those are the 3 questions we have to ask. So I went through all of my ideas, all of my lists, and I tried to find ideas that would satisfy all those requirements. Then I narrowed my list of ideas down to 3, and I wrote a really rough outline for each one just to see if there was any story there or if the concept just sounded cool. And now we've gotten to the point where I know the idea I'm gonna be working with and I can start writing, except now I have to do a bunch of development work before I actually write the script. So that means I need to write an outline, I need to do character bios, I need to figure out what every single one of the characters are like, what their personalities are like, what their background is, what their voice is like, what their goals are, what the actual plot of the film is, what every scene is going to do, what the purpose of every scene is, what emotions I want the audience to feel through each scene. This involves a lot of character development work, world building, vision boards, lookbooks, and a lot of long walks to think. I tend to just get my best ideas when I have my headphones in and I walk for like 2 hours. So that's like a necessary part of my process. And so now we've hit the point where I finally finished all of that and I can start to write the script. But unfortunately, doing all of that took all of the time I had to film this video. And now I have a fleshed out idea that I know is good, that I feel like has real story, has real heart to it. And the next episode we can work on writing the script, making the full lookbook, getting more into development. I'm gonna have to probably do 10 revisions of the script before I can start showing it to people or trying to get a crew or anything like that. But I wanted to give you guys an update so you know what's going on, so you can kind of understand the process that I'm going through. I'm not gonna share exactly what the idea is yet, but eventually I will. You guys will see it. So because my career is still in its beginning stages and we're trying to grow it, I'm not making any money off of it. And I don't want to go broke while trying to build my career, so we need to look up some side hustles and find some other forms of income so we can increase our finances. So living in New York is not cheap. And since I no longer have a full-time job, we need to do a lot more work to hit our goal in the finances section, which is to make $100,000 in 6 months. So last video, we went over all the progress we've made so far, and in this section, we're about 20% of the way there, including all of the money I made from my job before, plus YouTube, plus brand deals, etc., etc. So I'm gonna need a lot more streams of income to get us the rest of the way there. So the first thing we need to do with that is to make a budget. Making your income, but with a bunch of side hustles and like freelance work is really nice in the sense of you get a lot of freedom, but then tax season comes along and it stabs you in the back, and I don't want that to happen. And so we need to make sure we're putting enough money away for that, putting enough money away for me to move back to Los Angeles, and then just general savings, investment, those kinds of things, right? And also enough money to put back into these videos. So we need a budget. So I'm gonna make my budget really quickly. So the template that I'm using for my budget is a sheet that I got from Etsy, and I'll link it down below so that you guys can use it too if you would like. It has a lot of formulas in it, and it has a lot of things in there that I do not even understand how to do in Excel. I don't even understand how it was made. So I'm gonna make a budget and then I will see you when I'm done. So now we know how much we need to make and where it's gonna go. It's time to start making money. So I have my handy dandy laptop here. At the beginning of this challenge, we did a little bit of research into side hustles and I made a list of side hustles that could potentially fit into my lifestyle. However, because of moving and just because of everything, I haven't really had as much time or energy to put into those side hustles as I would want to or need to actually see any profit. So we're gonna continue that research today and figure out ones that we can actually implement now that I'm gonna be dedicating a bit more time to it. So the first bit of income that we get already is through YouTube AdSense, brand deals, and then through digital products. I already have a digital product posted, which is my template that I use to make all of my YouTube videos. A few people asked how I make my YouTube videos and what the structure is, so I was like, this works out. I already use it anyway. We want to add on an additional digital product, which would be a 6-month challenge template because a lot of you guys have asked for it, and we need to find a few more side hustles. So after doing a little bit of online digging and seeing what side hustles are available, what's worked for other people, what's actually giving you the most amount of money for your time, I've come up with a list. And we're not gonna do everything on this list, but I'm just gonna give you the list that I found in case you guys wanna look into the ones that I'm not interested in. First thing is affiliate marketing, which is when you have a link that's unique to you and when people click on it and they purchase something, you get a commission on that purchase. So some of the links that I use in my description, like Amazon links, are sometimes affiliate links, and I always say that in the description. 2, drop shipping. When you look up side hustles, so much of it is like drop shipping. And to be fully frank and transparent, I'm not gonna do that. I think drop shipping is like one of the most, it's like so scummy, you know? Like, I don't know a better way to describe it. Like, let me take this really cheap shit that I found on AliExpress and then resell it to you for triple the price. Like, doesn't that feel scammy? We're at the point economically where everybody's gotta do what they gotta do, so I try not to judge, but with drop shipping, I judge, because what are we doing? We all know you got that from AliExpress, and then you're advertising that you're drop shipping shit from AliExpress. Anyway, so drop shipping is not one of our options, but I wanted to mention it because when you look up side hustles, it comes up so much. Next thing, UGC content. In a past video, we touched on UGC content. I was gonna start doing it, but then I ended up doing this move to New York and I haven't really touched it since. I'm already doing content creation, so UGC is just similar to that, but more focused on making content for brands that's not really affiliated with my accounts. Doesn't really include my face. I don't wanna become a walking advertisement and I don't want my social media pages to be full of advertisements, so I try to avoid that. I've seen a lot of people saying UGC is a fun way to work with brands and make money, but not make yourself a walking ad. People will do UGC in a few different ways. They'll either pitch themselves to brands with their portfolio, or you can advertise yourself on freelancer websites like Fiverr as a UGC content creator, and then brands can reach out to you from there. Lots of options. Then data annotation, I've seen a lot of people talk about, but I've heard 50-50 reviews. I've heard the work is very tedious and very boring. Like, if you have the skills and you're okay with doing really boring work, it's fine, but it's not stimulating at all. I feel like I would just get really bored. So that's an option, but I'm not doing it. Next thing is user interviews, focus groups, surveys, those kinds of things. I feel like those are things where you just do it once in a while. It's not really consistent income or passive income or anything you can rely on. Focus groups especially, unless you're part of a very specific demographic that like researchers are looking for, you're not qualified for them often. And then a lot of the other ones I found were like reselling stuff, and I don't want to do all that. And then obviously I'm looking for a part-time job as well, and so that will also hopefully add some income. This episode, we're gonna focus on digital products, UGC, and then the focus groups and surveys. So obviously we can't do all of those, and some of those take longer to make money than others, but for this episode, we're gonna focus on getting the second digital product out, starting out with UGC. First thing we need to do is start working on our second digital product, which is the 6-month challenge template. So I'm gonna sit here, put my head down, work on this Notion, and hopefully get her done. I've been working on it for so long now, and then we're gonna work on the other 2 options. So similarly as the last time I did a digital product, it's taking so much longer than I originally anticipated. So unfortunately it will not be in this video. I have been working on this for a while though, so I do want to explain really quickly why it's taking so long. I'm basically doing a full 6-month challenge template, not of the way that I'm doing it, but taking all of the things that I've learned from trying to experiment and do it on my own and making it into a plan that can then be followed if you guys are interested, because I know a lot of you guys did say you were interested. So it has a section for all 8 categories: physical health, mental health, career, finances, hobbies, social life, overall intelligence, image. It's built into phases that you can follow, and it has step-by-step instruction, a ton of stuff that is taking a lot longer than I thought. So the next thing that I need to work on is UGC. I said that I was gonna do UGC a few videos back, but then moving and everything got a little too hectic, so we're doing it now, and the first thing I need to do is make a portfolio. So I'm realizing all of this looks bad, and I think it would look a lot better if I did this when the sun's up. We're gonna try again tomorrow with some sunlight. So we've made some really good progress on our top 3 goals, but what about everything else? The other goals don't just disappear because they're at a low priority, and they still need to be worked on, just at a lower capacity. So let's get into it. So for hobbies, I've still been taking my art lessons on the side, and then I got this little sketch pad from Muji to doodle in, so I don't feel as much pressure to make every drawing like perfect, and I can just test out some things and practice stuff in here. So for overall intelligence, I try to fit in these things either right before bed or while I'm commuting. So I'll either be reading, I'll be doing my little brilliant exercises, or I will be doing some language learning in any of those spots. Social life is interesting because I feel like before I was putting a lot of pressure to work on it and improve it and not realizing that I'm actually doing pretty good socially. Since coming to New York, my social life has expanded so much more, and I have people that I hang out with consistently, I have people that I care about, that I have fun with, and so I don't feel like social life is something I need to constantly be working on. Now I kind of feel like it's something I can let happen. I can meet new people. It's a lot more casual. It's not so, I need to make friends right now. I need to have a friend group right now. I think when I get back to Los Angeles, that'll change a bit. So I'll kind of have to start over, which will be interesting. For image, I've been trying out some new outfits. I've been trying to style things differently and trying to learn a little bit more about fashion as a whole whenever I have time. And for mental health, I've been journaling, I've been meditating, and I've been trying to practice gratitude more. I think a lot of my mental issues come from like, everything's not good enough. I have to improve. I have to do this. I have to do this. I'm not good in this way. And I think when I take a step back and I'm just like grateful for where I am and what I have, which is a lot. I have a lot to be grateful for. It makes my mental state so much better. It feels like I'm giving myself permission to be happy. I've also been reading a few more self-help books that have been helping me a lot, and taking rest when I need to, aka right now, because my body is suffering and needs to recover. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I hope you guys are having an amazing time. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks for another episode of this challenge. Bye!